time for the next part of the formalities.
No.
When I found out that our next speaker worked at Ansto, I was hoping for some superpower, something about radioactive spiders, or at least glowing in the dark. But it turns out that the safety record at Ansto is second to none. So I'm afraid we have none of those to offer, but instead I'll just offer you Shaun Jenkinson, father of the bride.
Good evening, everyone. Booming. So, because I do work at Ansto, usually there would be a safety brief, but that was ably dealt with early on, so I don't think we need to repeat it. However, there are a couple of things I need to clear up from the earlier speeches. 28 children. And look, you put me off my stride a bit, I have to say, because I've got a whole speech here, but I just can't get on. I can't move on from that at the moment. Ryan, we've known each other a while, and I thought you may have mentioned that at some point. Anyway, first of all, I do would love to welcome you all here today. It's fantastic to see you and to share in this special day with Natasha and Ryan. Natasha, look, I'm biased, but you look beautiful. I'd seen a picture of the dress, but when I got up to the top of the stairs this morning as you put it on, I think you probably captured it on camera. I don't really know what to think. And I also thought, I'm going to be pretty cool, but my emotions are fine. But there's also a moment at the back of the church, just before we stepped round the corner, that I wasn't sure if we'd be able to get down the aisle without maybe some aid or some tissues. You looked fantastic, and it was just a joy to walk down the aisle with you. Now, I'd also like to recognise that there's some people who couldn't be here today. Certainly Natasha's nanny and grandma from the UK, and obviously some of Ryan's family from interstate. So that's a challenge. We know that certainly they enjoyed the live feed. In the UK, sitting on the lounges at 4 o'clock in the morning with their hats on, very formal, being very polite, yes. But I know already they've enjoyed the ceremony. We've seen pictures of the day, so fantastic. And look, since the dramatic impact of COVID began earlier this year, this has, as Elise said, been quite a roller coaster of planning for both Ryan and Natasha. You know, at one point it was 5 people at a wedding, so that included the bride and groom. So at that point I was pretty clear I wasn't coming. Still paying. Then it got to 10 and I was hopeful I might get a Guernsey, but I was told I was on the bench. Yeah, thanks for that. I've got the mic, you be careful. Then it got to 20 and I think this is looking good. It's great. And anyway, thankfully that opened up a little bit more and we have as many people here today as we're able to. But what I do want to say is through all of those changes and challenges, what has not wavered has been your two's excitement for this day, your joy in what this day is all about for both of you, and also the excitement for the journey ahead that's coming. So I have to say that I am enormously impressed by the way you've coped on the way up to this day. So congratulations and well done to both of you. Now, what can I tell you about my daughter, Natasha? Oh, where do we start? So I think it's important to start on the day that changed my life forever. Of course, my wedding day. I nearly missed that. Could have been a really, really long walk home. But it was the 14th of February, Valentine's Day, 1998, which is the day Natasha was born. And I'm going to share a little bit of that day with you, and forgive me, not too much graphic detail, but it's important to share a bit of this. Some of you may or may not know that my wife has a PhD in a sort of obstetrics and gynecology related subjects. She sort of knows a bit about this baby thing. I, on the other hand, very naive father, or father-to-be, as it was. So Helen told me on that morning, all of a sudden, she said, "Oh, please forgive me if you're eating, my waters are broken." So I'm thinking, right, off to the hospital, let's go. She said, "Hey, calm down. Nothing's going to happen. We'll have some lunch, we'll go to the hospital, we'll wait around for 24 hours, they'll tell me that nothing's happening and they'll induce me tomorrow morning. So just stop panicking." That sounds good, I can work with that. So anyway, we have some lunch, we eventually decide to go off to the hospital, and we get there and Helen says, "Well, look, you might as well go home. Nothing's going to happen, go home. Look after the dogs, come back tomorrow, I'll ring you a bit later on tonight, come back tomorrow morning and everything will begin. So I went home, took the dogs for a walk. This is North Yorkshire in winter, so it's very cold. Got lots of fires going in the house, it's a great scene. I'm watching Bath v Wasps play rugby, Bath won, really good day. And about halfway through the second half though, get a phone call from Helen. She said, "Oh, I'm bored. Why don't you come to the hospital?" It was about 45 minutes away. She said, "But take the dogs out again, don't rush, nothing's happening." So I took the dogs out again and I get in the car and I drive off to the hospital and I walk into the ward where Helen's supposed to be. There's no one there. And then the midwife says, "Thank goodness you're here, the baby's arriving." So the next bit, for a day that's very vivid, it was a complete blur. Because within about 10 or 15 minutes, I had a beautiful baby daughter with a head of jet black hair and about the biggest set of lungs I'd ever heard. The room was like carnage. Helen was completely shocked. She hadn't had one contraction and the hospital staff had no idea what was going on. 10 minutes, woe to go. That's not supposed to happen. Sweetheart, you made an entrance. Now, since then, probably able to describe you as almost the perfect child. She's been a joy to live with. She could talk from almost the moment she was born. She certainly didn't waste any time sleeping for the first 3 years. So we went along and everything was wonderful and rosy. By the way, no, if this was your wedding speech, that'd be really different. Theo, you're okay, mate, no problems. So anyway, we get to about 16 or 17, and I come home from work, and Natasha says to me, "Dad, I've got to tell you something." "Okay?" "No, I've really got to tell you something. You need to sit down." "Okay, you all right?" "Yeah, yeah." "Have you had a good day at work?" "Yeah, fine." "Okay. Are you calm?" "Yes, I'm calm." "You're still not sitting down." "All right, I'll sit down." "Dad, I'm going to give up chemistry."
Oh, yes, thank you.
Now that is a disaster, right? And in fact, you wouldn't believe the impact that decision had on tonight, because if she hadn't given up chemistry, I'd have been able to weave this speech about electromagnetic connection and romance and love, and how even nuclear forces, which are even stronger, would have bonded you together. I'd have probably been able to weave in the Higgs boson. But no, you're not having any of that. You have just saved these people from the dullest wedding speech ever with that decision. My children also invented No Science Sunday, by the way, but that's a different story. Now, as the father of the bride, I should probably give you an insight or a bit of perspective into my view when I met Ryan. It's my job to expect that nobody could be good enough for my daughter. But then you meet Ryan. And he's just charming. Liz and Luke, you know. Your son is kind, charming, generous. I'm talking about this one, by the way. I'm sure you're equally the same, but as this is the Vetbede Madabed that's marrying my daughter, we'll focus on this one for the moment. He's an absolute delight. He's fitted in with our family ever since we got to know him, and it's been a joy. And to formally say you're now part of our family, Ryan, I am so pleased and proud. The dogs like him better than me. Natasha and Ryan, we love you both very much. You're starting on a journey, and traditionally this is the point in the speech where I'm supposed to offer you some words of wisdom, where you're going to write your own story, and it'll be awesome. So all I would say is that we're here for you, whatever you want. Write your own story, but always remember where your towel is. Thank you.